Okay, so hello everyone. A very big, warm welcome to this special session that we have called Homerun Offers in a Noisy World. Now, why, you might ask? I joined the online space as a digital CEO back in 2019. My name is Meg Burridge, for anyone who is new to my world. And I find that things have changed a lot since then. I mean, I timed my run at it pretty well, I think. I just created a 12-week group coaching program on how to use Kajabi when all of a sudden COVID hit and the whole world was forced into remote and online learning. So I found that people were just falling over themselves to sign up for this high ticket program. It was $3,000, almost out of necessity. I mean, the program was good, but almost out of necessity. And it wasn't difficult in a launch to generate $100,000. Like, it was a lot of work, but it was all doable, not too difficult, not too big a ask. Now, fast forward 4 years, and there are more people online ready to learn than ever before. There is so much opportunity out there, but there's also this huge number of extra coaches and offers that are circulating the marketplace. And I don't know about you guys, but I find the email subject lines, they all look like a little bit cliche. And the urgency and scarcity strategies that we used to use, they fall a little bit flat. And if you happen to know how to use ChatGPT, then you can whip up a brand new course complete with lessons scripts and webinar slides and workbooks, and probably have a deep fake go and record it for you in a matter of hours. So for many online entrepreneurs, me included, sales of their signature offer dropped off a bit in 2022 and 2023. And we had to get pretty creative with how we went about demonstrating the value and packaging up that expertise. So our focus today is, whether you're a new entrant to the market or you've been at this for years, is how do we get our offers seen and heard above all of that noise? Now, to help us with this challenge, I have invited in my wonderful coach and mentor, James Wedmore, who is the creator of the Unrivaled Business by Design program. And it's the very training that got me started back in 2018, taught me everything I know. And James is also the host of the Mind Your Business podcast that I know from, when you guys were registering for this event, that a lot of you guys are listeners to the podcast. So welcome, James. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your crazy calendar at this time of year to come in and talk to us about all this stuff.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, Meg. I'm excited.
All right, well, let's get into it, because I lined up a few questions, and I also asked a lot of the registrants today to submit one. So I've got a few to get through, and I know that sometimes, one answer from you can be so value-packed that answer could take up an hour. So let's see how we go getting through the questions that I've got. Now, James, you are yourself an 8-figure creator. You generate over 12 million annually with your incredible coaching. And what I think is so amazing is that you do that with a single product. Now, each year, Business by Design, it just becomes better and better. And rather than investing your energy into going and creating new things, you very sensibly go and, spend your time improving this product that you have. Now, a lot of us, we look at you doing that, but then we don't do that. We go and we launch something and it goes okay, but it's not the result that we wanted, or it is the result that we wanted, but then we get bored. And then we spend all our time dreaming up new ideas and spreading ourselves pretty thin. So my first question for you to kick us off, for those multi-passionates out there, is, do you believe that laser focusing on one core offer is the best way? And what has been the secret ingredient in your own business that has meant that Business by Design goes from strength to strength in member numbers, even with all of this added competition and AI stuff that's happening in the market?
Yeah, so for me, it's a simple yes on your first question, because look at it this way. That term gets thrown around a lot, multi-passionate. But I think that's a silly term, because I think everybody's passionate about more than one thing. So I think, okay, maybe some people have more passions than others, but I've yet to meet someone that only has one. I've never met a mono-passionate person. So we all, as humans, have more than one passion. And I definitely do myself. And just because we are passionate about multiple things doesn't mean we need to be doing all the things. And the reason why the laser focus exists is because what it takes to create and birth a product and everything around it, for anyone who's already done that, we know takes a lot of work. And when you pour all of that effort and heart into it, and here it is, we want to move on and do that process again. But that's where all the struggle is. That's where you stay busy. And I tell people all the time, if you want to create more work for yourself, create more offers. But if you want to create more money and freedom, just keep marketing and getting more people into the one offer you have. And it really is as simple as that. So look at it this way. Honor that you are passionate about multiple things. Honor that you love to create. And then ask yourself this question. Could I create even more and have more fun creating if I did that standing on top of a foundation of solid revenue and money coming in? Is it not true that you will create your best work, your best stuff on a foundation of, I don't have to worry about money? But if everything you're creating is now from a very reactive place or urgent, fear, scarcity base, you're going to be creating from the worst place that you can create, because that's fear. So create the thing that's going to give you a foundation and a peace of mind. And then you can do whatever the F you want because you have the money, the stability, and the consistency. And it's like, just go do it. And you'll see it, Meg. Like, yes, I keep improving because I love creating. I love teaching. So I will do that, but I'm not necessarily starting over, going in a different direction and throwing everything away and then going back to ground zero or 0 miles an hour with no inertia. So yes. Now, can you kind of remind me on your second question? You were kind of like, how does Business by Design continue to evolve and grow
how does it go from, how have you found that it goes from strength to strength in numbers, even with all of this added, noise and competition and stuff that's happening in the market?
Yeah. There's a lot. I know Meg makes fun of me that I don't have short answers, but hopefully they are concise and dense. Like hopefully I'm deliver a lot in my, and it's not just like random verbose. Because there's a lot of answers I can give to that, and part actually, of it is
one of our. Sorry to interrupt, but one of our questions in from the audience, from Leah, was along the same lines. She said, like my clients seem to want less online content, more in person. How has your product mix and approach evolved, and what strategies do you employ in this new world to stay relevant?
Yeah. Well, because it's the laser focus, to use your words, then what happens is that when you stay with one product and you continue to relaunch it, one thing we know is inevitable. It's going to get better. The marketing is going to get better. The experience that the prospect goes through is going to improve. The words you use, the way you communicate it, and what's included is going to improve. And I think there is an illusion that we don't even realize that we are operating from around perfection, that something has to be perfect in order to sell it, launch it, offer it. And it's the opposite. It's the more I launch this, the more I run this, the more I sell this, the closer to perfection it becomes. So the short answer to the first question, Meg, is because I was laser focused and have refined and improved and enhanced and changed and tweaked one offer that I've now dedicated years of my life and energy to, it's that the noise and the competition that I'm up against is somebody who's been doing something for a year coming up against 7-8 years of a maturity of a program with 17 years of experience behind that. That's the simple answer. Now, when I look at an offer, and it really is like a joy to me that this is the topic that we want to talk about, because if I'm talking to any online expert, if I'm talking to any coach, the game changer differentiation is the offer. Okay. You can't make any money at all if you have a bad offer. If you don't have something people want, no one's giving you money for that. No one in their right mind would say, I don't want that. That sounds like garbage. Not for me, but take my money anyways. So when everyone talks marketing and business and do, the last thing they tend to talk about is the offer. And so there is an art and a science to this. And I do hope by the end, with all these questions, that everyone here is left with a deeper grasp and understanding of that art and the science. So a lot of these initial questions are pointing to how I look at an offer. And so part of my offer is always, how do I create something, number one, that is relevant to the problems that my audience has, that will solve it in the most effective way? What do they want, and how can I solve it? But then I go, how can I solve it and deliver a unique experience? How do I provide something that's different? And yes, one of the offer ingredients that all my students get is a 3-day live in-person event. Now, the reason I do that is because my life changed in 2009. In 2009, I went to 15 events in 1 year, 15 marketing events. And I was broke as a joke, but I somehow finagled my way into, like, I would sneak into events, I would borrow tickets, I would buy tickets to the cheap events, and I was sleeping on the floor or the couch of like friends' hotel rooms. I had no money, I had no business, I did not know what I was doing. But I went to 15 events, and it was like being in that energy, being in that environment, being around all those people, absorbing through osmosis, learning the latest and greatest, and having those networking relationships, people that I still have close friendships with today, just forever changed the trajectory of my business. And when I look at what I do today, it's to help that younger version of me, right? It's like, I was who my audience is today. For a lot of you, it's a similar thing. Who you are today, or who you were, is who your audience is today. Like, you were who your ideal customer is. That's not everybody, but that's a lot of us. Okay. So what did I need back then? Well, I got it. And I wanted to create an in-person experience, because bottom line, you put people together in a room in real life, remember real life, and magic freaking happens. And so for me, it's like super expensive to run events. It's a lot of work and a lot of team and a lot of people, a lot of money. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because when we get together in person, the results that occur there are unfreaking believable. So I want to go a little further with this, because I'm answering the questions, Meg, but I'm going to give more. Because when I'm looking at an offer, okay, one of the pieces we have to look at it. So I talk about 7 ingredients, and hopefully we can get to all 7 ingredients. If not, I don't want to leave you hanging, or I don't get off on withholding or any information or anything, but I want to expand upon what we have. The second P, there's 3 Ps, and then there's 4 additional ingredients. So PPP, the second P is the process. Okay. The process is the delivery mechanism in which you deliver the value. And I always want to think of unique ways to deliver that value. So one of those is an in-person event. By bringing people together in person, the process becomes unique, the process for delivery, but it's not the only way. Okay. And so I want to use myself as an example for you guys to be inspired for how do you master the art of crafting your own offer. The other way is the traditional way, which is people have like content in course videos, like watch these videos. Okay. But if you're listening, that is the one that I try to do the least of, because that is the one, like if I asked you guys, Who would rather watch a couple of videos from me or come hang out with me at a live event, but you can only have one or the other? I know what you guys would choose, hopefully, right? Especially if I said, I'll pay for your ticket to get out there, then you're definitely coming to my event. So the videos, training videos, watching educational content, that is the second way in which we deliver the content, but that's not the only way. And it goes on from there. So one of them is through a unique delivery mechanism of our processes and execution guides. So instead of just giving my students, here's some videos to watch that you have to sit in front of a computer for hours, we said, what if we just gave our students the Lego instruction manuals, the step-by-step processes for every piece that they need to build? So it's just like if you've ever built Legos with your kids, you're just looking at the picture, you're looking at the step, you're finding the bricks and you're putting it together. And before you know it, you just follow the directions and you have the picture, the toys, the picture on the box, right? So we wanted that to be unique. And then the last piece is a live virtual component. So I have a team of coaches and myself, and every week for 16 weeks, there's live office hours, there's Q&A, there's hot seats, there's additional training, support, etc. And the reason I say all of this is because, and I said this before COVID, I said this in 2018, I said at an event in front of like 1,500 people, I said, you guys have got to pay attention if you want to stay in this game. We must do better than just content. If all you do to provide value is, let me just spend 20 minutes in a video and here's 100 of those 20-minute videos, the game is changing and it's evolving. And if you're not thinking of unique, creative, and valuable ways to provide value beyond a talking head or a keynote video that is still solving people's problems, providing convenience, and providing a better experience, then you are going to be left behind because there are other people that are doing that. And even though you said, Meg, at the beginning, and this isn't to brag, this is just to prove my point, so people actually like receive what I'm saying, is that if you're saying that people's like sales dipped in the last 2 years, last year was a record-breaking sales year for us in the entire history of my company. In fact, we increased our sales last year by over 25%. And so that's the beautiful opportunity. And when we bring in like these things like AI, I'm just going to tell you guys straight up, the way life works, and I didn't make the rules, so don't shoot the messenger here. The way the universe works is it will never work out for you long term if you make your life about looking for the shortcuts. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry if you don't like that news. Anybody can make a quick buck the lazy, easy way, short term. Anybody can accidentally make a quick buck doing something lazy. But if you are trying to circumvent the work to get a quick result, it will not work well for you. And that's just the way it works, especially in the realm of teaching, coaching, and mentoring others. Because just like you said it, people don't want your underwhelming, full of fluff, valueless thing that didn't come from you anyways. You just copy and pasted. And, so in a short term, you'll see people get, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I can copy paste this. And then they'll wake up one day and they'll say, why did that dry up? Why is it no longer working? And that's just the way the universe works. What you put out is what you receive. Mm-hmm. So the receiving is in the giving. And the beautiful thing, and especially who I love to work with, are the type of people that their offer, their product is a manifestation of their life's work. This is your purpose. This is your dharma. And there is I think to me, it's like the greatest, most beautiful thing is that we have an opportunity to have and step into a purpose. And that becomes our 9 to 5. That becomes our day to day. That's not something that we like maybe moonlight or try to fit in on the weekend. Like this becomes like, wait, I get paid to do this. and this is what I'm here to do, and it's making a difference. It's helping people. And that's a really beautiful thing. And the law of Dharma, which is a universal principle that every single one of us has a purpose that is greater than us, a purpose or a function that serves humanity beyond just ourself, also points at the fact that the more you are in alignment with that purpose or Dharma, the more success that you will have in your life. I don't ever believe that if you went in the opposite direction and got distracted from your purpose, that the universe would reward you from separating yourself from that. So when we get more in alignment with that, we see more and more success. Okay, I'll shut up there, Meg.
It's okay. You covered off a couple of my questions with that answer. Thank you.
Look at that.
Yes, perfect. Now, for those who are like, okay, well, I think I've got my, what my core offer is going to be, or I'm going to get ruthless and get rid of a few and just laser focus on one. Now, are there any other elements to that core offer that you could cover that we should be considering inside of this offer? And also, like, how much runway in weeks or months do we need to allow ourselves before we put this offer out there if someone's going to buy it?
Okay, wait. So do you want me to give the 7 ingredients real quick?
Oh yeah, sure. I'd love it. Give us the rest of the 7, and then let me know how long is realistic for a runway.
Yeah. So the 7 ingredients that are prerequisites, but just knowing what they are, like, it's hard. It's like, it's not enough. Like, there really is an art to this. So maybe we can get to an example or create one that's really beautiful. Because I just did this with a client last night, and it was like, you could tell the difference. And we pitched it in real time to a Zoom room of people. And it went from like, okay, who would buy this? Who wants this on a scale 1 to 10? It was like 0, 1, 2, 1, 0. And then I was like, now do it this way. And I was like, who wants this? And it was like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 all across the board. So this is an art to it. So 7 ingredients. I'm going to say these really quickly. So just make sure to write them down. Maybe someone can post them in the chat. The 3 Ps are the 3 foundational: promise, process, and price. Those are the first 3: promise, process, and price. I will go over these. But the next one is value add, risk reversal, scarcity and urgency, and the why. Promise, process, and price, value add, risk reversal, scarcity, urgency, and the why. These are the 7 ingredients. Most of the time, when someone puts out an offer and it doesn't do well, they forgot one of these 7 ingredients. So it's the first place to look. You want to make sure you have all these, but the quality of how you execute each of these is important too. So I'll give a short one-liner for each one. And then if you guys want me to expand on any of them, some of them are self-explanatory. Some of them need like a lot of training. So the promise is obviously the first piece. The promise is, what is it that they already want? Here's a one-liner. Okay, maybe it's a 2-liner. Secret to this business: attract your people, attract your audience, and sell them what they already want. Most people cannot even do those 2 things. If you're in this room saying, I want to sell this, I want to teach this, you are already setting yourself up for failure. I hate to break that to you. And I know it sounds a little contradictory, just like, I thought I'm supposed to do something in alignment with my purpose. Yes, but we must think first from the lens of, what is it that they already want that they would be willing to pay for? And the amount of people that come to me and say, show me how to convince people to sell, to want this thing that I know they don't want. And I said, why? Why are we doing that? Why are you making your life so much harder than it needs to be to try to convince people of something they don't even want and then expect them to give you money for it? That, my friend, is called a bad offer. And the most successful people I know in this space have always started with, who do I want to work with? My purpose is connected to who I want to work with. And what is it that they already want that they would be willing to invest in? If you can answer those questions, you've answered the first P, which is promise. What do I solve for what person that they already want solved? Number 2 is the process. We talked about that. That is how we deliver it. I have students that are multi-7-figure memberships at $27 a month, to $3,000 courses, to group coaching, one-on-one workshops, retreats, virtual, in-person summits, you name it. when people say, what's the right one for me? And I say, it's called business by design, because you need to find the style that matches you. There is a type of model that matches your temperament, your personality, and your creativity. And we need to figure it out that way, which is great. Pricing. There is an entire psychology into pricing. I can talk about that today, but obviously part of your offer is the how much, but it's not just how much. It's what's the value? What is this really worth to somebody? Okay. So let's go to value add. This is once we present these 3 Ps, promise, process, price, we're also delivering, here's additional value you get. So a ticket to my live event is a free value add. You also get a lifetime admit 1 ticket to any one of my live events, right? Risk reversal. This is a big one. Risk reversal is when you see people doing a guarantee or a refund policy. It's called risk reversal because it puts the risk on you as the seller, not as the investor, buyer, prospect. We can unpack with all the different options there if you guys want to go into these things. Scarcity urgency. People need, if any of you guys have done any type of launch, promotion, or sales at any point on the internet in front of strangers, I know for a fact there is somebody that said yes to working with you and didn't buy. And that's because they didn't say yes right now. How many of you have a Amazon wish list of all the products you want to buy? How many of you have things in a checkout page somewhere? You have your cart on your, whatever.com website that you love to do your internet shopping, right? And yeah, mine too. And by the way, today, if you guys are seeing things, like I love shopping Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and Amazon. I love looking for a great deal. And I was looking for a case for one of my guitars just the other day, and I found one on eBay, and I just like hearted it and saved it. All of a sudden, 2 days later, I get a message from eBay, and the seller has given me a like $20 discount. And I was like, I'm in. Great. And it was like expires at the end of the day. It's like for the next 24 hours, you get 20. I was like, I'm in. He gave me a reason to buy now. Scarcity and urgency is absolutely essential. If you don't give your people a reason to buy, why they need to buy right now, they will say yes to your stuff, and they will say, yes, someday, one day, I'm totally going to do this. And guess what? Someday, one day never freaking comes. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. Now, the last one is the why. This is actually like the least thought about, and it's one of the most important. The why is the context for every ingredient. It's the story behind all of it. Why are you selling this? Why is the price that price? Why are you delivering it this way? Why is this your guarantee? Why is this your scarcity? Why are these your bonuses? It is the reason why, the context, because if you don't create the context for your prospect, they will create it for you. And their context is not nearly as good as yours. And I hope that makes sense. That's the quickest I could describe the 7 ingredients. I expand upon that massively, but what was the next one? I forgot.
The other one was on runway. Once you put these things together inside of an offer, like, it's a lot, right? It's a lot of work to put together one of these programs. And a lot of us are guilty if we get it ready, takes us months, and then it's like, oh shit, I've got like no one to tell about this offer that I'm now ready to sell. Yeah. Okay. Here's the myth I want to dispel. If any of you think like Eminem, 8 Mile, I got one shot, one opportunity, you've got it backwards. Just to connect exactly what Meg like laid up to me at the start of this call, it's the opposite. The more you launch, the more successful it will become, the more the performance and conversions will increase, the more sales you will get. The reason I say it like this is because it's all too common to think I'm going to launch this thing, and it's got to be this perfect thing. And you've never done it before.
So then all of a sudden, what you thought maybe takes like 2 weeks turns into months, and I keep kicking the deadline can down the road. Okay, we'll do it in August. Oh, no, there's still more. Oh, it's not perfect. And then all of a sudden, you're working to get started and get going for 6 months, and you're like not making a single sale. And we do not want to do it this way. Okay. This is my philosophy. Now, sadly, the majority of my students, what I'm about to share with you, I teach this. I've been teaching it for years. I hammer it into their heads. Repetition is one of the most powerful ways that you can teach your students. You just got to repeat yourself over and over again. And I would say 70 to 80% of my students don't listen to this. I'm not going to ask Meg to see if she does this. She's normally in my 20%, but most don't. And I don't know why. I don't know why, but this is it. And it's so simple. Okay. First off, if you're selling something for the first time, you are going to run a beta launch. Now, beta launch we can unpack, but the beta launch is your scrappy, down and dirty, simple, easy breezy launch. And we call it monetize before you make it because you're going to sell it first and deliver it live. Anyone in this room could say, for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to walk you through how to do XYZ. We're going to hop on a Zoom call, just like this one, every week for 8 weeks. I'm going to teach for 30 minutes. I'm going to answer questions for 30 minutes. We're going to have a Facebook group for follow-up. It's going to be a blasty blast. I'm probably going to be selling this for like $3,000, but for the first 20 people, we're doing $500. Who's with me? Let's go. Any one of you could do this and you could have it out the door in less than 30 days. Even if you have an audience of 20, because my sister had an audience of 0. And she, for 30 days, posted content. She decided she joined. I made my sister buy Business by Design. That's the kind of jerk I am. No, the joke is I had given it to her. And for 3 years, she never opened it, never used it. So on her birthday in 2021, she goes, okay, I'm going to buy it. She spent 30 days posting content on Instagram about her new niche. Now, she teaches spirituality, manifestation, intuition, and meditation. So for 30 days, she put content out there. And every couple of days, she said, I'm putting together a program. And if you're interested, let me know. And she created a little wait list. And then she comes to me and she calls Big Brother and she goes, James, I'm ready to launch this thing. And she goes, I'm nervous AF, but she didn't say AF. She said the full. And I said, great, what's your goal? And she goes, okay, well, my goal is 3, but if I'm being really honest, if I even just got one person, that's a win for me. Now, that to me is beautiful because I see a lot of people today that are like not grateful and like not, they're like, they're it's not enough, whatever that is, right? And to have someone who says, just to have 3 people that say, I want to work with you, and that would like fill my cup, and I'm grateful for that, was beautiful for me to hear, because I think being grateful and humble is a really important piece of this. And so she goes, secretly, if I just got one, but my goal is really 3. Like my stretch goal is 3. Because she didn't have an audience. She'd been doing this for less than 30 days at this point. So she puts it out there. Now, she didn't do a webinar. She didn't do ads. She didn't have affiliates. She still doesn't have a website. She just started talking about it on her Instagram stories. And she got her 1, she got her 3, and she ended at 7. And then a week or 2 later, she calls me up and she goes, I got a problem. I said, what? She goes, I think it was like 2 weeks later. She goes, people are talking about how good the program is to their friends, and now their friends want to join. And I got 2 other people that want to sign up. What do I do? I'm like, Jill, darling, little sis, that's not a problem. That's not actually a problem. That's called a good thing. She's like, oh, it is? So what do I do? And I was like, let them in, the more the merrier. So she had her first 9 people, and I should frame her text that she sent me because she's a mom of 2 kids. She homeschools the kids. And that's what her focus has been on. And, they're getting a little older. And she said, this experience has been one of the most rewarding, fulfilling, expansive, joyful experiences of my life. And I'm so grateful that I get to do this now. So she did her beta launch with almost nothing. And if we're under the pretense that we've got to gear up to make some like Apple iPhone, huge world, Echo launch, we don't. You don't. You just need to get started, and you need to get out of neutral. You need to get out of inertia, and you need to get in momentum. And from there, here's the next piece, is every 90 days, we are doing something to sell our program. So we work from a 90-day year. And that's where I say most people don't follow that. And then they wake up one day and they're like, I'm not making the sales I want. And I go, well, what was your quarter one 90-day goal? Oh, I didn't have one. What was your quarter two? Oh, I forgot to do that. So I'm like, I can't really help you if you're not following that process. So every 90 day, there's a launch, a promotion, or a strategy, or a plan of sorts to sell the program again and again and again and again and again. Now, here's where this gets really stupid, simple, really fun, is when you repeat it, you do the same thing. Okay. You're doing the same thing.
So
You're selling
boring,
it again.
James. Do it again.
It's so boring. It's so boring. But you know what's exciting is the results you get from doing the boring thing. And then I say, hey, if you're bored, get a hobby. That's what I did, because your business isn't here to entertain you. It's here to help people. So we do it again. And every time, it's so simple. It's embarrassingly simple. Every time I do the same thing and I launch it again, I just choose 3 things that I'm going to change or improve. And I just do that over and over again. And what happens is the momentum picks up, and the runway, the work before that, gets bigger and it gets better. And so here we are today. That's what I do. And now, first I did it. I did a beta launch for Business by Design in 2016, and I got 25 people in. And then I did the first launch in July, and then I did another one in December. So I did 3 in 1 year. And then I repeated it 3 more times the next year. Then I went to 2 a year, then 2 a year. And then I go, I'm going to do something really scary. And I just did 1. And since 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023, and 2024, just 1 launch a year. And we just look at how does it get bigger and better and more effective and more powerful, a better experience, more content, more everything. And every single year, it just gets bigger and better. And believe it or not, less and less work. It takes less and less work if you do the same thing plus 1. So when I say do it again, I'm not saying burn it all down, throw it in the garbage can, and then recreate something from scratch. Now, sometimes I've had to do that with pieces of that. Like, I can't stand my sales page, I'm going to redo it. Okay, great. But not the whole thing. Once you've got the seeds of something, it's built off of that. It's like, hey, I put the foundation down. Now let's get the framing. Ooh, now it needs a paint job. Ooh, now it needs a roof, and I'm building, but I'm getting myself out of creation mode as much as possible. So 2 things I want to leave you with there, and then I'll be quiet, because 3 things real quick is what I've been saying to my clients now for a while is saying all the freedom that you want, all the abundance, the finances, the money, the sales, all the things that you want that is driving us, at least on a 3D level, of why you want to have this business, is on the other side of the things that you are not replicating. It's on the other side of what you're not repeating. So you stay in first gear and spend 80% of your time creating, then you are going to spend your time doing the most energy exhausting work, because it's a lot for us as creators to create something. And that makes the least amount of money. Creating your best stuff does not make you money. Selling it does. And so most people are doing 80% of creating content, 20% selling it. And even that is being generous to some of you. And we want to flip it. 80% selling, 20% of our time creating. And when you get there, you find that you're working less. Obviously, you're making more and you're having more fun. Now, you have to build it to get there. You can't skip that. And I am not going to ever advocate for just the cheap, easy BS route of type it into chat. Hey, ChatGPT, make a course, because, if I'm just going to be a jerk for a second, but if ChatGPT can teach something better than you can, then you're probably not actually an online expert, And people at the end of the day are looking for an expert. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for a guide. They're looking for a mentor, a lighthouse that can show them the way. Mm-hmm. And if ChatGPT did it, then they would just go to ChatGPT anyways and not follow you. And ChatGPT and all these AI stuff have now been around and prevalent for the last few years. I think 2 years or something, and they've been really strong, or 18 months or something. And it doesn't go, people aren't going, oh, I'm not going to work with you anymore, James, because I'm going to use ChatGPT to teach me everything. And that's just, some food for thought. So, okay.
I got 3 little questions that tie into what you just said, James. Now, on the runway one, I mean, Jill started with 30 days live, and I feel like you can come out of a launch and it wasn't like as much work as it used to be because, it's a rinse and repeat, gets better and better, but not a whole lot of work. Well, it looks like a whole lot of work. But do for a lot of us, if we're creating something brand new, a launch is exhausting. We come out of the launch, we kind of fall in a heap and we disappear off the face of the earth for like a month because we need to recover. Like, do you come out of a launch and then be like, oh, okay, well, let's just start preparing for next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's somewhere in the middle, because the tricky thing is, let me say it this way. Like, when I'm in a launch mode or launch season, there's opportunity everywhere. And so, like this call, I get to meet new people and new people get to be introduced to me. So imagine if I did 10 of these calls a day with people, that'd be amazing, but it would be extremely exhausting, right? So a lot of it is understanding, like, you have to like temper yourself with all the opportunity that can arise. And that's the hardest thing for me to do, is people will go like, hey, you want to go speak at our event? You want to do this? And it's like, I want to say yes, but I also have to like manage my own mental and physical health. And this is a marathon for me. I'm not trying to burn out anytime soon. So that's for me, that's the first part. So yes, I play a game with myself to say, I want to be in the launch and it feels like a regular day at the office. And that's the game. Now, for anybody else, when they start doing something, they go, a launch is exhausting. Well, if you're doing it wrong, it definitely is exhausting. And that's what really birthed a lot of the ideas and philosophy behind BBD, is because before I was teaching all this, I was the YouTube and video guy. So I don't know, Meg, if you knew that or if anybody else did, but I didn't get my start doing this. I went to film school and I loved video. I mean, I grew up with a video camera in my hand since I was a little kid. So I was making home movies, claymation videos of my sister since I was a little kid. So I went to film school for it. I went to one of the top film schools in the country for it. So my business started by teaching people how to make videos. And that blew up. And all of a sudden, I found myself with a $2 million a year business selling $97 courses. And in that process, I did a big launch. And at the other end of that launch, I was left with a very unique experience. It was the most successful launch I'd ever had. I made $256,000 selling this little product. I mean, I was in 2 weeks, I was blown away. And I almost killed myself in the process from how hard I pushed myself. Like, it was scary. Like, I was just not sleeping and it was stressful. And it was like, I mean, I was just basically had coffee IV in the arms, you know what I mean? And that was like really interesting, because I'm like, I had on one side, I was like, that was incredible. Nothing had worked that well. That was so exciting. And on the other side, I was like, and I never want to do that again. Like, how do you reconcile this? And there's a certain temperament that I have that I always want anyone that I cross paths with to have as well, who decides, and says, yes, I'm an entrepreneur too, which is a difference I see in a lot of people. So it's like, I don't know how to put, there's probably some psychological term for this attribute. So I don't know what it is, if there is one, but here's a metaphor of it. If I put my hand over a hot cast iron skillet and I put my hand on it and it burns, ow, I take my hand away, right? Most people go, okay, so I'm not going to cook with a cast iron skillet. But I go, oh, so I need to wear a mitt. So most people look at something and go, oh, that was a bad experience. Oh, that was a problem. Therefore, I can't do it, or I shouldn't do it. And I don't know if it's just called stubbornness. I don't know if it's blind optimism. I don't know if it's something else. But when I see something like that experience I had where I go, this launch, and this was like 2014, that was so stressful. Instead of going, I'm never doing that again, I said, I got to figure out how to do this so that it's not stressful. I got to solve this. I got to figure out how to do this right. And that's what I obsessed over because I couldn't walk away from it. And so when a lot of people say, launching is stressful, launching is hard, I go, no, look, if I gave you a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, and I turned all the pieces upside down and I took the picture away from the box and I said, solve it, that would be hard, but you wouldn't say solving jigsaw puzzles are hard. If I turn the pieces over, if I gave you the picture on the box, it would be a heck of a lot easier. And so launching, selling, promoting, all that stuff is hard if you're doing it wrong. And I realized there was something wrong with the way I was doing it. And so I became obsessed with solving that. And that's a lot of what the delivery mechanism of our teaching is today, which is step-by-step Lego instruction manuals. And then this kind of notion of like, start with the launch that you have. And then we add 2 pieces, add 3 pieces, do it again. And then rinse and repeat it, add another piece, rinse and repeat it, add another piece. And before you know it, you're building this incredible momentum and you're working even less. Mm-hmm. And so it just goes back to this theme of like, if you're always looking for the easy way, if you're always looking for the shortcut, that's why you're struggling. And so the easy way and the shortcut is the long way and the hard way. And it's like, just do the dang thing and do it right. And that's what I was able to figure out, so that today, no, launches are not stressful. It's actually really, really fun. It's our favorite time of year because we get to help a lot of people. And if you're so busy and so stressed out, then no matter how hard you work, your launch is going to tank because people are deciding to work with you based on who you are and the energy and the vibe they get from you. So you're all burnt out, tired, and lack of sleep. They're like, I don't know what it is, but she seems off. I'm going to go look for somebody else. And this is really interesting because I know Meg wants to point out I talk a lot, but when you decide to be an entrepreneur, the name of the game is different. And collectively, most of us are operating, I'm not anymore, I was, from this, if I want more money, I have to do more work. And it's a direct correlation that if I work more, if I struggle more, if I sacrifice more, if I be the martyr for money, I'll make more. And that's not healthy, not sustainable, and not true at all. So if you take yourself down, in your launch, then you're not really there to show up and serve your people that need you. So they won't sign up for you. So hopefully that answers
Perfect.
that.
Thank you. Now you have managed to reduce the number of launches back to 1 a year. We had a question in the chat from Laura who says, like, if you launch all the time, so like even more than a 90-day plan, it's just like, I'm just going to keep putting this thing out there. Does that limit the effectiveness of the scarcity factor?
No. I have a client that does over $2 million a year selling a $297 course. And they were doing 3 to 5 webinars a week, pretty much one a day, and they'd take a day or 2 off. And they do that. And they did it live.
The same webinar.
Week. Same webinar. They were doing it while painting their nails, it was like blindfolded at that point, right? And they built a $2 million business off a $300 product with that. So no, there's a lot of myths that I want to just dispel about how people approach this. And now here's the caveat to that. And this changes the topic for a moment. But the missing piece of that is, let's say you build an email list and you have 200 people on that email list. Yeah, if you launch to those 200 people every week, you're going to run out of people. That we know that logically, right? That's not like a outside of the realm of logic and reason for us. So to follow that strategy, they had to get in front of new people every day. So they were just running ads to cold audiences to get them into their webinar. So it's a yes, you can launch as much as you want, as long as you are inviting people into the launch who are new people. Like I'm getting new people. And people say, well, how do I build my list? How do I build my list? I want to build my list. I got to build my list. And I go, well, I got great news for you. This is the best news. Your greatest list builder, your biggest list builder. And this I've been saying for years. I prove this every year. I can show my own stats. And then my students come back and say, gosh darn it, you SOB, James, you're right again. I go, I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to help. I don't need to be right. I'm just trying to be helpful. As I say, your greatest, biggest, most impactful and effective list builder that you will ever have in your business is your launch. Your launch builds your list. So the more you're launching, the more you're going to build your email list. Now, if the only way you promote your launch is to your existing email list, you've null and voided my point. But if you said, you know what, I'm going to do a webinar next week. And I go, great, let's put it on social. Chances are, who's on Instagram? Anybody on Instagram? Okay. I bet most of you, if we went to your Instagram right now and we go to your little profile and we click the little hamburger in the upper right, and then we go to insights. Now I'm a professional account, so I don't know if the format is different. And I go to your total followers. And if you guys are doing this with me, that chances are in the last 7 days, you have had at least one more person follow you that was not following you. Right? Most of us. Okay. So you got new people finding you just randomly on social media, as long as you're active on there. Okay. So that's one place, number one. But number two is, getting into any type of paid ad strategy, which we should never, ever be afraid of spending money or paying for ads. What you should be afraid of is spending and wasting your time. Because that's what most people are doing. They're wasting their time and they're white knuckling their money. That's backwards. That's back to that employee mindset. Because I will happily spend money on ads because I know how much of my time I get back. Think about it this way. How many of you just put, there we go, Betsy. How many of you have posted at least one piece of content on Instagram in the past 7 days? I'm just curious. Okay, cool. So I see some hands. Now, that takes time, does it not? It's fair to say. So some posts, has anyone like me been guilty of a post that just at the end of the day, like took way too long? Like, I was like, why am I still working on this? It's not perfect. I got to go back like half a day. How many hours have I spent on this, right?
But your stuff is a masterpiece, James. Like if anyone hasn't seen James's reels, you need to go immediately from this to that, because like the hours that must go into creating these videos you do, I mean, they're hilarious, but I just think, oh, the time investment.
Well, it does help that my beautiful, wonderful Jen and I both went to film school. So it's part of our passion. Like we love making videos. So thank you. That's the greatest compliment. And if you guys want to just sit here and watch my videos for a while, that would be my favorite thing to do. That's my favorite hobby, is show people my videos. So no, that's very nice, Meg. But you guys know it takes time. Bottom line, it takes time to make a post. And if you make a post, you spent the time, you made the content, you posted it. Maybe it got you a follower. Maybe it got you a lot of followers. Maybe it got you reach. Maybe it got you unfollows. But you spent the time to get reach. See what I'm getting at here? You spend the time to get some reach. And then guess what? Tomorrow comes and you're like, crap, I got to do it again. How many of you are noticing that? You're like, oh shit, now I got to go create another one. And it's like, spend the time, get the reach. And then all of a sudden, the Instagram sirens have seduced you and hypnotized you into like this addiction of, I got to create again. Now I got to do 2 posts a day. Oh my gosh, this is a full-time thing. And the same person that is spending their time so freely doing that also says, oh, I don't want to spend money on ads. Why are we so willing to give our time away when we can't ever get it back, and we hold on so tightly to money when you can always make more and you're never limited by the amount of money you can make? I have ads that are running. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I have ads that are running right now that I created in 2020. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're still using that one? I look so much older. I mean, I look better, but I look older, wiser, way more.
Wiser, yeah.
We're using the same ads. I created it once 4 years ago, and I can show you stats of how many people it's got in front of, how many people see it, how many people click on it, and how many leads we're getting from it. Right. So that's just something to like think about. Don't be afraid. So yes, we have students that are like, hey, they have ads running, they're building their list, they're getting people registered, and they are selling. We have people selling daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, every other quarter, and like me, once a year. There's no right or wrong way necessarily to go about it. You know, I like doing a big event. I like the big old shebang. I think it's really fun. It's really exciting. I get to work with a lot of people all at once, and we have a good old time. So that's my business by design. That's my design. That's my life by design. And people, not everybody wants to do it that way.
Mm. There's a question, follow-up question there from Dr. Shea, and I was going to ask something similar. Like for people who are like, okay, well, I didn't leave myself any time for runway. I'm going 100% all in on a paid ad strategy to cold traffic. Do you still see, ads to cold traffic working as effectively as they used to? Is it possible and reasonable for someone to come into a launch who's never heard of you and buy at the end, or are they more likely to perhaps go through a couple of launches? And do you think it's possible to have the success if you're not an industry leader, if they can't go and research you and find out that you're someone?
Yeah, so I want us to remove the term industry leader completely from any litmus test of qualification, because that's irrelevant. What is relevant is that you are perceived as an authority. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you are the leader or not. That's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. I'm not trying to be an industry leader. I'm trying to show people that I know some things, and if you want to learn those things, I'm going to teach them to you. I don't care who else is doing what in an industry and who's a leader and who's not. So it's completely irrelevant. But it is important that they see you as an authority. And if you're not an authority, like if you don't know what you're talking about, you're in big trouble, because no one buys from people that they don't perceive as an expert or authority, right? So the name of the game, okay, so I'm gonna give short answers here for you, Meg. We always want a combination for our reach of organic and paid. It's not about one is better, one's the right way. You always want to be doing something organic, podcast or YouTube or Instagram, wonderful. And you're going to want to do a paid ad strategy. And to answer the question, are cold ad audience converting less today than before? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends completely on the market, and it depends on the strategy. Okay. But the name of this game, my friends, even though we're talking offers, you want to grow your business, you grow your email list. The name of the game. And don't you ever forget that. If you want to grow this business, it's growing your list. So you're growing your list. So the fact that somebody is cold, didn't know you 2 minutes ago, and then they opt in, well, guess what? Warm them up, baby. Warm them up. If they're cold, warm them up. And that might happen in a day. That might happen in a week. That might happen in 5 years. I just talked to a client of mine. Her name is Michelle Spring, and she has built a very successful business. She was our Breakthrough of the Year winner 2 years ago. And she goes, James, I first saw your YouTube video and met you on a YouTube video in 2013. She didn't buy until 2019. 7 years. 7 years. So People are very nearsighted, short-term thinking. Oh, I got these leads, $5, but they're cold and they didn't all buy. So nurture them, take care of them, build a relationship with people. My goodness. And a lead is a lead. Bottom line, if I have an opt-in page, and this is my opt-in page on the internet, okay? And I don't know any of you, and you have never heard of me. And on this opt-in page, I say, powerful exercise that breaks down the 7 core ingredients for crafting your irresistible offer so you can build an online course that practically sells itself. And you opt in. You say, here's my email address, opt in, boom. Cold, warm, know me, don't know me, irrelevant. Because what is relevant is you just told me you are interested in this. Interested enough to submit your email and take a next step. And if you're interested in how to create an offer, if you're interested in how to sell a course, then what else matters? Because now I go, oh, you're interested in things I have to say. So I can teach more. I can share more. Maybe this is relevant for you. Hey, maybe that's relevant for you. And what happens is this becomes your simple equation. You want to fill in your name here, time with me, or time with Meg, or time with Monica, or Juliana, or Carrie equals more sales. The more time that you have or spend with your people, or rather the more time they spend consuming you and your stuff, the more the probability increases for them to say yes to you. So when people say, oh, I've got all these cold leads and they didn't convert, it's like, you mean yet. You forgot to say yet, not yet. And then we give up and throw them away. It's like going on a first date with someone and be like, we didn't get married tonight, so I'm just never talking to them again. What? It takes time. And sales is a lot like marriage. It's like the best metaphor, really. If anyone has been proposed to and someone got down on one knee and they said, will you marry me? You probably didn't make your decision based on how good of the proposal was, but rather what the lifetime experience you guys have had together was, and saying, have we had a great time? And then you put that into your future and said, does this mean we're going to have a lot more good times together? You didn't base it just on the ask. Oh, they didn't have a hot air balloon. Oh, they didn't take me to the moon, right? They just got down on one knee at a restaurant. How cliche. No, you didn't say that. You're like, you know what? We have had some amazing times and we connect and we have similar values. We have a great time together. And there's no one else I'd rather want to spend that time with. Yet how funny with us when it comes to our offer and it comes to sales, we're so afraid to ask. And we put so much pressure on the ask. But most people are making their decision the same way. What has the experience been like working with this person already? What have they already given me that I've loved? And do I want more of that in the future? And that's how we need to look at it. Keep showing up, keep giving your best stuff, keep providing value. And the people that are ready to take the next step will. We have stats from those launches that we do every year. 25%. This is last year. 25% of the people bought had been up to 4 previous years of launches with us before they bought. Took people 4 years before they said yes. Good thing I didn't go chase some other shiny object. I'm right here, consistent, like a rock, baby, every June. And people that are ready are ready. People that are not, hey, we'll be back next year. Okay. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. And it's very good advice that we should all go and listen to. It's so easy to hear what you say, James, and then forget, like, and it's, the launch didn't go the way that I wanted. I'm just going to think up something new. But, it's solid advice. Now, there was a question from Dr. Shea that got pre-submitted, actually, which I think ties into this well. It was like, how do you best get coaching clients if coaching is an innovation in your industry? So her ideal client is a struggling classroom teacher who wants to know how to sustain like a career in education, but they're not like typically searching out coaches. They're looking for lesson plans and resources. And coaching is like quite a new thing in that space. So for people who are working in a niche where coaching is not really like a thing, any advice on how you go about, putting together offers in that space?
Yeah, it goes back to what I briefly said before, which is you're selling the process and people don't care about the process. If you don't lead with selling what they want, no matter what you do, they will not buy. So if you're convincing people, you need this, and this is what I'm going to sell you because you need this, you're going to find this to be a very heavy, pushy, uphill battle. Now, that's not to say you can't provide those things. It's to say if you sell them what they need at the expense of what they want, you're going to get a no. And we don't want that. So we must sell them what they already want. Simple. It's always as simple as that. I'm going to give you an example. This is what happened last night. And I was like, I had a client and she's been struggling. And I go like, what's going on? She's like, I'm just not getting traction with my offer. I keep putting it out there, both to test it with my free content, because we have a process that we teach on like how to test your offer with your free content. And I'm not getting the traction. I decided to do my beta launch, tanked, nobody. And I said, what is it that you're selling? Now, the short version is she works with business owners. And she said, I'm creating a product around self-care. And I said, that's the problem. I said, no entrepreneur wants self-care. And even if someone in this room says, no, I do. I know we want self-care. I get that. Like, guys, tomorrow, let's all get massages. All right, let's all take a day off. Let's do something for our mental health. We all want that, and it's all important, and we need that. But entrepreneurs don't pay for that. Let me say it this way. Entrepreneurs aren't going to invest in a course on how to do self-care. And they're just not. And at first you could tell like she didn't agree with me. Like most people do at first. That's totally fine. And I said, well, we're in a room full of 100 entrepreneurs. Let's find out. And we did a real-time poll. And I said, obviously, you guys, this is a mock trial, so I'm not going to make you pony up the cash, but rate on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll do the pitch, so I'll nail the pitch. And I pitched it. I said, rate on a scale of 1 to 10, like how badly you'd want this. And it was zeros, ones, and twos. I'm like, that's what's happening. And then we shifted to what people actually want. And I said, now sell that. And it was 9s and 10s across the board. So I said, now, again, I didn't make the rules. I wish that course would sell. Okay. I wish, because I'm a huge proponent of it. In fact, my podcast for years has talked about the rest is the work. The more you rest, the more you're in stillness, the more you're in silence, the more you're in peace, the more successful you'll be. Okay. I'm not going to sell a course on just how to do that. I'm going to include that in my messaging, and I want to pass that on to as many people who are willing to listen to that, but that's not the core offer. And that you could sense this part of her that goes, but this is what I want to teach. And I said, this is what we're talking about before. I said, but that's not what they want to buy. And that's what we have to kind of take our ego out of it. Now, Monica said, what do entrepreneurs want? Does anyone know the answer? What do entrepreneurs want at the end of the day? They only want one of two things. It's very simple. And anything that isn't one of these two things, 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, it does poorly. I'm not saying you couldn't sell it. I'm not saying someone won't buy it. I am saying there is a difference between an irresistible offer that is easy and light and it sells itself versus one that's like, I feel like I have to push a boulder up a freaking mountain just to get one person to say yes. If that's what you want to do, have at it, because I'm never going to stop you from your free will. But if you want to make it easier, then you sell what they want. And in the delivery, you also give them what they need. Coaching itself is not what most people want. And let me tell you, my friends, coaching is what we all need. It is the difference that makes the difference. Great coaches have changed my life. And apparently, I've had some coaching combos with clients and friends over the years that have transformed their entire life and business. Coaching is the difference that makes the difference. But if someone doesn't want it, even when they need it, it's very hard for them to invest in the thing that they don't already want. So a lot of things that I will do, even in my own business and marketing, is sell what they want, give them what they want, and what they need, and what they need. And that's the way to look at it. And here's the final piece on it. And then I'll answer what entrepreneurs do want, since no one made a guess for me. So Laura's the closest to it. Yep. So I forgot what I was going to say now. It'll come back to me. That's okay. No, they don't want freedom and peace. Sadly, they don't. Leads and sales. That's what they want. I mean, that's not my opinion. That's just the fact. Now, we're talking about a collective group of people. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions and outliers. But if you were to poll every entrepreneur, let's just say in the United States, and make a list of all the things that they wanted, that they're willing to invest and pay for, leads would be second, sales would be number one, and then other things would be below that, of course, but the two biggest ones are there, right? So if it's not that, we're selling something that they don't want. And I don't want that for you guys. So sell them what they already want. And then we can include what they need. I hope that makes sense. That's why I said there's such an art to this. Mm. And I can look at an offer today and say, that's a home run. And I can look at this and go, it's going to be rough. Hope that helps.
That does. I got 2 more questions for you, James. You're almost there. Doing great. Okay, so question in from Carol Jean. And I think this one will help a lot of people. So for those who run cohort-based group coaching programs and find that they lose sales from people who don't want to sit on a wait list, like they missed the launch, they find out about it just after, they don't want to wait. Like, what is your preferred strategy for offering an evergreen option in between live launches? How do you go with your own where you're only launching like once a year and then people have to wait? And what do you think about like a hush-hush, like on the down low backdoor entry into the program that maybe they only hear about like after they opt in for a freebie or watch an evergreen webinar?
I think it's all great. I think there's, the reason we called it business by design is because it's really building a business life by design. The business fits your life. And so there's a lot of underlying principles that I will stand by, like a lot of hills that I will die on for what I believe. And I can give examples of those principles that are just like, they're non-negotiables, right? And then there's a lot of things that are like, oh my gosh, like do it your way. So if you're doing a group program, first of all, I don't really think there's that many people. I don't think it's hurting your sales if you are doing a wait list. And it's like, I only do this twice a year because we do BBD once a year and we're doing just fine. So there might be somebody out there. So hear it this way. There might be someone says, oh, I'll forget it. I'll go with somebody else then because I don't want to wait 6 months. But like there'll be 5 more in place of that. So you're not actually hurting sales. So I don't agree that it's hurting your sales to only do it a couple times a year, if that's the way you want to do it. The next thing is, yeah, you want to bring people in through a back door, bring them in. That's just your personal choice. I have a mastermind. I run a mastermind every year, and it's a 12-month. It's for the whole year. So we have a 2024 group. I will not bring anybody into that room once the year starts. That's a rule that I created for the group because of the type of program that it exists. I don't want to change the energy with new names and faces, but you don't have to do it that way. That's my way to do that. And people come to me right now, like someone might after this call go like, oh, I want to join your mastermind. I'm like, great. I'll let you know in the end of November when we open up applications. And if someone says, I don't want to wait till then, I mean, I don't blame you, but I don't know what to tell you. I'm not making an exception there because I have a wait list of 800 or 900 people to fill 5 to 6 spots in there. And we fill it every time. So, you know what I mean? It depends on your own model and how you want to do things. And if you want to create a more like self-study version program in the interim, that's wonderful too. Just be mindful. Like really the answers to these questions are what's the kind of lifestyle you want to have? You want to create another product, great, but it's also going to create more work for you. And so what I would have as a best advice is to take time, whether it's today or this weekend, and write down a vision for both your life and your business that you stick to for at least the next 18 months. And so it's not just a vision for your business, it's a vision for your life. And so if something interrupts or disrupts or threatens that vision, then you know not to do it. If you're like, I only work 3 days a week, I want to take Thursday and Friday off. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, so should I create this other program? And da-da-da-da. It's like, well, that might threaten that vision for my life that I created. So that's really up to the person's personal choice. Because if I said, how much money you want to make this year? And you said $500,000. I said, is there really anything preventing you from taking this group program that you already have and getting it to 500K? I would assume the answer is no. We just need to put more people in it. Maybe we need to raise the price a little bit. We get more people in it and we could get to 500K. So why not just do that? So that's the way we need to look at things is what's the intended outcome for both my business and my life? And we need to fight for that. Because if you don't, you can wake up one day and you've said yes to all kinds of things that are pulling you further away from the life that you want. And what I know we're here talking about offers, but I think the thing that I am most proud of for myself is that I've been doing this for 17 years. And I think it gets rarer and rarer to find people that have been doing it for that long and that consistently. And I think one of the secrets to that is, or let me say it this way, I think one of the greatest threats to the longevity is anything that would cause burnout. And I don't get burnt out. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of which is I pay attention to how I feel. And if something feels heavy or like below my, like I shouldn't be doing this. Why am I let it go. I take it off my plate. I delegate it. I give it to somebody else. I make sure I'm not doing it. And I'm also have strict parameters in my life. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm working 12 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. That's sustainable. Let's do that for 5 years and see what happens. You know what I mean? So that all matters and that all plays a role because every yes creates no's somewhere else. So just saying yes to things, we have to look at as like, what does saying yes to this actually cause? And I want to get everybody here to the revenue that you want to get to with the least amount of effort, the least amount of offers as possible, because that's what's really fun. If it takes you 20 offers and 50 launches a year to make 300 grand, we've lost the plot. That's not the best way to do it. So hopefully that makes sense.
It does. And I think it's so easy, like in this space to, you know, we follow various people and they tell us we got to do it like a certain way, you know, it's got to be cohort based or it's got to be evergreen, like launches are not cool anymore and it's got to be high ticket, it's got to be $37, you know, and it's like, oh, okay. What do I do?
Yeah.
There's all these messages coming at me. So I think it is very, very solid advice to just look at, what you want out of it and craft the model like around that, and
Yes.
all the models can work,
Yeah.
you've got to find the model that is right for you.
Absolutely. And there's a lot. I mean, and that takes, and that's not like a cop out, like, oh, just, there's an education, and I obviously Business by Design shows you like, here's, if you're like this type, if you like this, then this model is great for you. It's like, there's a understanding and an education behind all of it. But the end of the day, the name of the game is make the most with the least. And if we can take one offer to our revenue goal, that's a lot better than creating another product just because some people are saying, I don't want to wait 6 months. And I'm just going to be like, again, there's certain markets that are different, here's a great example of it. That's why the model does matter. We have a client that has been in the sleep training niche, right? So how to train your newborn baby how to sleep. Yeah, that person's not waiting 6 months. So there are certain niches where it's like we need to have something different for that individual, because in 6 months they've graduated from that niche. They're not in your niche anymore, right? So obviously there's exceptions, but for me, if someone came to me and said, in January, when does Business by Design launch? And I said June, and they said, I can't wait 6 months, I'm going to go do something else. I would say, you should go do something else, because I don't want you doing nothing for 6 months. And if you'd like to join us in June, I'll be right here waiting. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really as simple as that. So, some people wait 4 years before joining us. So 6 months doesn't seem like that much time, right? So, that's just how I do it. And I can do this. What I'm trying to get across is I can do this long term because I'm doing it on my terms. And if I'm bending at every place to be the martyr for my marketplace, that is not sustainable. And at one point or another, you're gonna break down and burn out. I don't want that for anybody. So anyways.
Thank you. All right, one last question, and then we are going to finish up with something I like to call Please Sell This, where I'm going to give you a product, and I'd love to hear you create an offer around it. But before we get to that, we got one last question from Lee. Now, Lee wrote in and asked, she said, I love helping experts and change advocates share their message with PR. Now, even if they feel nervous about doing that. But she is switching from consulting to organizations to having a course for individuals. And she'd like insights on how to be irresistible when transitioning from B2B to B2C.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot, obviously, on how to be irresistible. So obviously you want to make sure you go through the 7 ingredients of an offer. And if we went through those 7 ingredients, the irresistibility comes out of that. So first of all, the promise has to speak to the biggest problem that this person is dealing with, that is the number one problem in their career, life, business, whatever, and speaks to the thing that they actually want. Okay. Number 2, the process is, how do we make the experience, the delivery, high value? Number 3, the price is, how do we not just make it an irresistible price, but how do we convey that the value is a minimum of 10 times what we decide to price it at? So a big mistake people make is they go, I'm going to sell my product for $1,000. Great. And then they try to convince people it's worth $1,000. You've already lost the game. You failed before you even started. People don't want to spend 1,000 to get 1,000. That doesn't make something irresistible. So what we need is to intentionally demonstrate that it's worth a minimum of 10 times. Your people need to feel like they are ripping you off. And until we do that, it's not really that irresistible. Everyone here hates spending money, most likely to some degree. Maybe hate's too strong of a word, but you love a great deal. Everyone loves a great deal. And the moment you find a great deal, you even forget that you're spending the money. You're like, how could I not? It's a BOGO. It's 2 for 1. Let's go, right? And until you are positioning and framing in that way, it's not going to be that irresistible. Now, once we've introduced the promise, the process, the price, we start to get into the fun stuff, which is a value add on top of that. That's when you see the old infomercials like, but wait, there's more. And there's a whole art to bonus creation. And what bonuses are really designed to do to increase the desire, but simultaneously, and this is some ninja stuff, remove the objections that someone would have. And then, of course, what starts to come up for somebody is a fear. What if this is one of those AI courses? What if this is garbage? What if this is fluff? So when your guarantee or risk reversal is, hey, you've got 90 days to put this to the test. If you don't like it, just let me know. I'll give you your money back. You remove the risk, you increase the irresistibility of it. You increase the desire of it. And then we need to convey to people, here's why we need to do it now. Doors closed this weekend, or I'm only letting the first 20 people in. I'm limiting the seats, or the price goes up at midnight, whatever it is. We need some sense of why is this important now? And then, of course, the why is the story all around it. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. If it's not what they already want, and if we're not speaking to what they already want, then they don't want it. The last piece I'm going to introduce to you, which is a really fun, powerful strategy, starts with this concept that the more you understand your audience, the more you understand humans in general, the more you understand the psychology of buying and selling, the more powerful you're going to be in your ability to get the yes. So the way people operate is in tunnel vision. When your prospect is struggling with something, they have tunnel vision. And they go, I have a problem, I have a problem, I have a problem. And their brain is hooked on, I have a problem, I have a problem, I have a problem. And the moment they do that, they go, so who's got the solution? Who has the answer? Who has the solution? Who has the answer? And they develop what I call the one best right only mindset. And all of you have done this before at least once in your life, probably often, where you go, I am looking for the best, the one, the right, the only solution. I don't think any of you are saying, can I get the half-assed, mediocre, lame solution? Can I just get some shitty solution? You're going, what's the right way? What's the best way? What's the best way to do this? You guys have already been asking those questions while I've been here. What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to sell it? What's the best way to launch it? What's the right way? So that's where people are at, right? So if your stuff, like exposure through PR, isn't positioned as the one best, right, and only solution, people won't buy. So the way that you position your stuff as the one best, right, only solution is to do something that we call discredit the alternatives. So you have to understand that whether you're doing your webinar or you're teaching or your content, people are looking at what you teach and they're measuring it up against all the other options that they have to solve their problem. And if they think there's another solution or path that is better than yours, one right, best only, they will go with that one over yours. So until you can sit there and say, here's why these other options don't work as well as my option, people will go with the best option. So one way to make your stuff irresistible is to demonstrate why it's the one right, best, only. And a great way to do that is by discrediting the alternatives. I'm going to give you an example of this. I forget the name. And it's a product I saw an ad for. And it's these leftover bags that you put your leftovers in. And it's like a strong, thick, rubbery, see-through thing. And it has a Ziploc. And they're reusable. And the whole commercial is showing why all the other alternatives to store your leftover food are no bueno. Like, how many of you have all those extra lids? And he opens it and all the lids fall out. You know what I mean? Like where you got lids that don't fit into the jars and the Tupperware and all that. And he's like, or you could use the plastic Ziploc bags. And then he shows the stats on how many of those we use in a year, which is just this ton of plastic waste that like ends up in our oceans and landfills. And then he shows the glass. And he shows, or you use the glass ones. And then he has it break in front of a kid. And it's like, you really want to let your kids use these? So he's discrediting all the other options that you have to store leftovers. And then says, introducing, and I think it's called like zip tops or something like that. Introducing zip tops. The safe, reusable, dishwasher safe, good for the environment, whatever they call it, leftover bag. And it was brilliant. They just showed you why the other ones are not as good as you thought they were. And by removing those, it automatically brings this one to the top. It goes, oh my gosh, it solves all the other problems that the other ones did. That's one of the ways. There's many ways, of course, that you can make your stuff more irresistible. So I hope that helps.
It does. Okay, well, all right, James, let's get into our little game. Do you think you could take all of your seven offer elements and maybe even the discrediting as well? If I was to give you a topic, I'm thinking about all those elements and I'm like, I don't know how you're going to do this, James. Like, this is a tough one. But if I give you the course topic, do you want to have a go at it?
Let's do it. See.
Okay. This was in from Sarah.
So it is a course. We're selling an online course?
It's a course. It is a mini course for 6 to 12-year-olds. It is called Kids Get Creative with Canva. It's $34 for a year of access. And the domino belief we're trying to get across is that device time can actually be a good thing for your kids.
Okay. So I'm not selling it to the kids, though.
You're selling it to the parents. Yeah. We are trying to get the parents to invest in 12 months.
It's 34 for a year?
Uh-huh.
I hate this. I hate it.
I know. I didn't make it up.
Okay.
You can change the price. You can change the price if you want.
No. It's fine. I'll work with that. But I want us to be clear. I'm not selling to kids because kids don't have credit cards. Mm-hmm. Kidswithcreditcards.com. So what are they? They're learning how to use Canva?
They're learning how to use Canva. Tagline is a fun and inspirational online Canva mini course for 6 to 12-year-olds that will give them a huge head start in the digital landscape. So taking tech and making it of benefit rather than just screen time on YouTube.
Okay. So I would probably start with a stat on, I would find smoking gun stats that I won't have off the top of my head, about drawing the correlation with keeping kids tapping into their right brain creative abilities. And if I could find that stat, I would lead with that and say, studies show that kids that develop the more right side of the brain, the more artistic brain side of the brain, not only end up being more emotionally mature and in well-rounded intelligence and a well-rounded individual as they mature in age, but they find themselves in more positions of success in their careers because they're able to bring those skills that they developed at a young age while their brain was maturing to now the demands of the marketplace and what employers need. Now, interestingly enough, the biggest change that has occurred over the past 10 years, as we can all see, is that traditional art and from pottery to painting to sculpting has now gone and taken a digital form. And the world of digital art form is a completely different ballgame. And most of today's kids are completely unprepared for that form of art and the skills that are required in today's current workforce, which is why we wanted to bring to the forefront the most popular and common used tool for design, for art, and creativity. And that is Canva. Canva is today's most commonly used tool and platform for any type of design. And the best part about it is kid friendly. So when you give your children access to the tools to start learning Canva now, they get to access and exercise their creative muscles and simultaneously learn an extremely valuable skill set that is going to serve them long term. And that's exactly what the kids, what was it called? Kids
Get creative with Canva. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what the Kids Get Creative with Canva mini course does. Through very simple and easy to follow video tutorials, your 6 through 12-year-old will have their hands held as they walk through fun, interactive, and play-filled videos that will feel like they are having fun while they're learning these valuable skills. And on top of that, the best part is this is your built-in babysitter. And although we could be charging way more for this, your access is just $34 a year. That can't be right. Yeah, only $34 a year. That's like a penny a day. So if you can't afford a penny a day, then you don't really love your kids, and I can't help you. But if you do love your kids and you want to set them up for success, get them into Kids Get Creative with Canva today for less than a penny a day. I think that is no, that's not a penny a day. It's 10 cents a day, right? Is that right? 10 cents a day.
I don't know. I'm in Australia. What the heck is a penny?
Dang. Penny is 1/100th of a dollar.
Okay, a cent.
34 times 100 divided by 365. Yeah, it's 9 cents a day.
Oh, 9 cents.
I'll take it. Sign me up.
You did very well, and I can see we got Sarah in the chat saying it's priced so more kids have access to it. And I think it is going to form part of a bigger.
That's a wrong thinking on the psychology of pricing. Oh, that's an absolutely erroneous belief. People will go, if I price it cheaper, more people will have access to it and buy it. And that's not true. A lot of people will actually go, what's wrong with it? I'm not going to buy it because why is it something? What's the catch here, right? Even if you changed it to $17 a month, which adds up to be way more than $34 a year, you will get more people and you'll make more money. And obviously, unless you're asking the kids to pay for it, which I don't think you are, I would not recommend that. Every once in a while, someone comes to me like something for kids and is like, just so we remember, like kids don't buy online courses, right? Because they don't have credit cards. So we're selling it to the parents. Your audience is the parents of the kids, and because kids don't have money. I did, but that's different because I was very entrepreneurial. I was making butt tons of money as a kid, but I'm not like most kids. So definitely raise the price. Definitely make it monthly. And I really like a price point between the $10 to $20 a month is a great starting point. I think that's wonderful. Really cool. I hope that helped. That was me just kind of having fun with it, but
I think you did great.
Yeah,
I think you did great.
By the way, that's a tough one. That's a hard one.
Sorry, I really picked the tough one out of this.
A very challenging one because it's like, okay, I don't have kids and it's 4 kids, but I'm talking to the parents and I didn't know much about what they're actually learning in Canva. So I had to really go, why would this matter to the parents? Why would they go, this is a no-brainer? But it was good. I love it. I love a good challenge.
Well, I think you had some light bulbs going off in the chat. So hopefully, guys, just listening to James talk through that process of how he puts an offer together on really anything has helped you guys with thinking about just looking at your own offers and how you can be building in some of those 7 elements into whatever it is that you are putting together. Now, guys, we have gone way over time. So as much as I would love to ask every question that came into the chat, I'm afraid I can't unless we keep James here all night.
To all the questions we didn't get to, the answer is yes.
There was a great one there from Anne around, could she just do those retreats and in-person events like a BBD Live instead of a training program content? The answer to that one is definitely yes. Like I would,
if that's what you want to do.
yeah, that's the stuff she
if
loves.
that's what you want to do. Don't do something you don't want to do. That will bite you in the butt. That's not. This is your life. Your one short life. Do what
So
you
guys,
love.
a huge thank you to the amazing James Wedmore for all of his wisdom and insight. And I hope that you guys have all managed to take in some really good actionable strategies that you can go away and implement after this call. Now, for those of you who are right at the beginning, who haven't heard this week's episode from James on the Mind Your Business podcast about beta launching, I strongly encourage you to go from this session immediately over to the podcast and have a listen to that. I'll find you guys a link for it. I will send it out with the replay for anybody who, maybe you were watching in the Facebook group or you had to drop off halfway through. Don't worry, replay is on its way. And make sure, guys, that you do clear the calendar for June 6th, which is the first of James's live 3-part training, Rise of the Digital CEO. It comes around once a year. First session, June 6th, put it in the calendar right now. No idea what time of day it's going to be. It's not going to be at this time of day. James probably knows. What time of day?
11.
11
my time.
Pacific?
11 Pacific, my time. Yeah. So that would have been like 9 hours ago.
Yeah. When everyone was still awake, but yes. Thank you to those. I know for a lot of you guys it's getting quite late at night if you're on East Coast US time. So thank you to those who have stuck it out to the end with us. We hope you had as much fun as we did. And thank you so much, James, for coming in and giving us all of this time.
Yeah. Thanks, Meg. I hope I didn't talk too much.
Never. We love it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. See you all again soon. Bye.